the reactors going down. Do you think this is the ill winds that is finally coming up in the linguistics?
Yes, I do. It's got me really quite a bit energized here because indeed I think that is the case. We've already seen some fulfillment on it, and then we've had some really spooky linguistics show up where, I kind of wondered what was going to happen because the Israeli mistake went away, and that was a temporal marker. But at the same time, today we've got linguistics on Israel as a pariah state showing up all over the net, and that's at about 19%. And then we've got Israel maybe going to attack the Palestinians, and that was at about 9 or 10%. So those languages are rising just as we get our nuclear volcanoes.
I kind of figured that, and I've been following you very, very closely, my friend. And I say you're 3 times or 4 times better than chance when it comes to the linguistics analysis here. Second question, okay. Ring of Fire, 5 volcanoes went off today. Are we looking at something in California taking place within the next 5 to 10 days? What's your take on that?
That's really yes, we're looking at something on the West Coast. Yes, I think the West Coast will be the site of the earthquake that I wrote about in the Shape 9 that causes a huge economic disruption here. No, I'm not so sure about the timing, but it's curious that on the March 25th is when we should go into release language. But I could make a case that an earthquake here would cause release language, but so would fallout. So it could be either of those. Make sense? But the release language is going for 7 months, so whatever's going to happen is going to cause a big impact. Okay, last question, Clif. Tubo. We've talked about this before. What do you think? Tubo, my understanding of Krakatoa, Tubo, Yellowstone, and the other supervolcanoes was predicated on an understanding that was wrong, that didn't take into account the expanded planet model. So I think that once the main dome of a supervolcano has ruptured once, it cannot thereafter do so explosively. Very much like St. Helens will never blow again the way it did in the past until it rebuilds that pressure. These are kind of like giant magma bubbles that are sitting underneath there that are feeding all of these volcanoes. Once Krakatoa blew itself to smithereens in 1883 or whenever it was, Krakatoa was eliminated as a supervolcano. Makes sense? But it was only part of Toba. So the rest of Toba could go, but it may not. Curiously, I was just looking at that spot on the Pacific floor, wondering just what the potential is given this new crack. And the new crack may have actually helped us out some in lessening that as a potential. One more thing, Clif. The Pakistani crack that took place, I think it was just 2 days ago, 3 days ago. What are we looking at there? I think that's going to join across into the crack in Africa, and I don't know that it'll go much further up into Pakistan, but I think it represents at this point the northernmost edge of that tear. Now, bear in mind something about Japan, Pakistan, California. All three are right where the equatorial bulge starts to lift up off of the planet. And so if the Expendo model is correct, then we will see more tearing of a longitudinal nature on the equatorial bulge, and likely at that spot where the equatorial bulge really begins to lift off, which is all three of those spots. So I think Pakistan, it might run north another 15 or 20 miles, but I don't think it'll go too much further. On the other hand, it may well go south with a serious effort to connect to the Rift Valley, the new Rift Valley in northern Africa. I absolutely agree, because nothing's over 30 degrees in value on that. I totally understand that. Your work is amazing, sir. You are an amazing person. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you much. I think you'd have a different opinion if you saw me eat pie.
Thank you for the call, Rob. I'll tell you what, if it's okay, I just want to go ahead and open up the phone lines because I love where the callers are taking the broadcast.
Sure. Yeah, whatever, guy.
Okay, 866-841-1065, ladies and gentlemen. 866-841-1065. Let's go to Kenneth. I'm not sure where he's from, but Kenneth, welcome to the show.
Oh, good evening. I hope this is me.
Yes, it is you.
Oh, okay. I've got a ball of string that I'd like Clif to help me unravel. I've been watching what's been going on in the Middle East, pretty much from the Middle Eastern sources. And there's a common word that doesn't matter what country, it's not slang, and I don't know if it's how the closest word that they can find in English to express a thought. And the youth, they want their dignity back. They're willing to die to get their dignity back.
Yeah, actually, I do understand what you're talking about. The word can be translated as dignity, but it can also be translated as place, as in your place on the planet, your place in the world, your place in your own mind, etc. Yeah, it's a very broad concept. Yes.
Yes, and the unifying factor, especially in Egypt, is they're Egyptians. The cops are linking hands to protect the Muslims in prayer. If the cops are being attacked by the secret police, state police, the Muslims come to the rescue, the cavalry comes. Amazing. But another ingredient, I think most people, it would help them if they threw it into the pie, would be to read, I don't remember the author, but the book is called The Fourth Turning.
Sure. Two guys, yeah. And it's a generational thing that's been suppressed in the Middle East that's causing all the problems now. If they'd only let them go through it in 1928, we wouldn't be where we're at here.
Yeah, but he predicted this. This generation is coming of age. The older generations, especially those in power, they're so far removed they don't understand them. Their bullshit detectors are turned on high.
There's another issue there, too, that also goes to the Muslim Brotherhood. That same thing is quite true of them. The leadership from them stems all the way back to 1928.
Yes.
And so they're old farts, and they're disconnected from and effectively isolated.
And these youth, they do not want to go the Iran route. They will not go the Iraq route. They don't want, even, they were kicking around possibly, a parliamentary system like Turkey. No, that's not good enough. Now they're going back to a founding fathers version of our Constitution. And that's coming up. But it's groupthink. There's no leader is popping up because they're smart enough to know that if somebody pops their head up, they'll get killed.
right.
But it's
the old whack-a-mole, yeah.
But it's a groupthink. If you watch Twitter, they're going so fast.
Let's not use that term though, because that's a 1984 term. What we do is we redefine the language to suit ourselves, rather than falling into the trap of using the same language that our enemies use to define us. So I wouldn't call it groupthink. I would call it a self-organizing collective.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. But watching this is going so fast on Twitter and Facebook. A good example is Alexandria. A guy sees the secret police are burning documents in the parking lot. Within 2 minutes, there's 2,000 people there to protect the documents. Now, everybody in there, after they beat their way in and kind of beat down the secret police a little bit, everybody in there is a walking cameraman. They're uploading onto Facebook. Now you've got this generation worldwide. They know no borders. Now they've got millions of eyes watching them. Okay, they've got shredded documents, mountains, haystacks of shredded documents. Within 15 seconds, the links to an American software company that does document reconstruction, that's being retweeted all over the Arab world. Then WikiLeaks comes in. If you need us, we can put together the team of the best reconstruction experts in the world. Then Anonymous chimes in. Yeah, but Anonymous chimes in. Don't worry about the documents. Get the hard drives. And they're going through. They're telling them how to do images. This is all within less than a minute.
Yeah. Well, also a lot of these people are technically savvy. So yeah.
But you can go off all of the conspiracy theories. Those that would be perpetrating these theories, they can't keep up with this. They don't understand it. This is like catching a greased pig.
Ken, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're coming up to a break, and I want to get your comments on that. Clif High is our guest. We'll see you on the other side, ladies and gentlemen.
Got to basically just shed that accumulated extra stress. That comes out in the form of energy. The planets absorb it. They get a little bit bigger. It causes more stress next time around. And it's this expanding process. So it all fits at a fractal level all the way through. So the maps that we've got that show any kind of subduction, any kind of loss of continental mass are bogus. That'll never happen that way. Indeed, we could even lose ocean levels. I was just talking with some people today that are oceanographers, they actually have degrees in it, and we were looking at some of the ideas that have been kicking around. And if I'm correct, then the next logical area for expansion cracks is probably from where I'm at up here in Olympia down towards Northern California. Somewhere in that region, we'll have a cracking episode, which may or may not continue all the way down to the Gulf of California. But wherever the cracks do come, whether it's here or in Northern Africa, they will drain away considerable amounts of ocean water once they connect to the oceans. And they may drain away enough to cause the oceans to drop down for maybe centuries.
Well,
don't know.
Is there any significance to 2012 at all?
Sure. Oh, sure. 2012 is actually the, it's really weird, okay? I don't know how the Mayans knew this, but their ability to mathematically calculate the mega sunspot cycle is far in excess of our own. They knew, for instance, that the Earth used to have a 360-degree day orbit, and it shifted to 365.24 days. They knew things that they could not have known if they were just basically ignorant savages in the jungle. So the mathematics that they employed is so sophisticated that we are still marveling and trying to unravel it. It includes efficiencies within efficiencies. One thing they were sure about was that what I call a mega sunspot cycle will end on the last day of the long count. The long count is the calendar that everybody calls the Mayan calendar. It's 515 5,115 years in length. That 5,115 years is a fifth harmonic of 2 mega solar cycles, which are 11,800 years in length, although somewhat variable. Anyway, though, the Mayans knew. What they knew, we don't know. They attempted to tell us some of what they knew, and they put it into these codices, these codexes. One of these codexes is in Dresden, the town in Germany, that was obliterated by the Allied bombers. It's called the Dresden Codex. It shows some very interesting Mayan words that says that at the 2012, at the end of the long count, the time ceases, and a great harvest of souls begins, and by the way, from the sky will come a blue flood dragon. Well, that's all kind of cryptic. We also have another codex in Madrid. There's quite a few of them that all point to nastiness in the year 2012 by our reckoning. And we need not concern ourselves with their meanderings, except that is all based on a very highly sophisticated level of mathematics that is right about a whole lot of other events. So in other words, a lot of people have heard about this fellow they discovered in Switzerland, the Iceman.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. He was frozen in the week of the day, in one day in the week that the long count began. At the time that this long count that we're in began, the last long count ended, and it ended in a climatic catastrophe of which we now have the Iceman as one of the many surviving relics. And we find that on that day that they started the new long count, and one age ended and they shifted into the current age we're at now, all kinds of weird climate